Hey guys, how we doing? John Anthony. Welcome to Chair Shot Sports, a driver to the top production. Guys, an amazing week in wrestling right now. We just came out of AEW Forbidden Door, an amazing Raw and NXT, heading into one of the biggest PLEs so far of the year, Money in the Bank. So big, I can't do this myself. I need to bring some friends in. We've had a couple episodes so far. I want to bring in a pro wrestler hype woman, a very big advocate for women's wrestling. Stephanie Hypes is joining us this evening here on Chair Shot Sports. Very excited to have her in here. Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us. It's a huge pleasure. Thank you. I appreciate it. I know you're just as excited as I am. This PLE is awesome. It's probably one of the first PLEs, Money in the Bank wise, under Paul Levesque, Triple H, under his direction. Obviously, it's your first time on the show. For those of you that are watching that don't know who Stephanie is, Stephanie, give us a little bit of background, who you are, what you're about.
Who am I? Good question. No, just kidding. First of all, thanks for having me, John. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to be on your show. One of the best podcasts. So if you guys don't know that, go ahead and check it out. However, I'm excited for Money in the Bank. I am Stephanie Hypes. Probably see me on Twitter. Either you like me, you don't like me. I don't know, but I tend to try and weigh on the positive side of things, and that drives some people nuts, and that's fine. But I was given the nickname Becky Lynch Hype Woman. That's how it all started. And that turned into Pro Wrestling Hype Woman. And for the most part, I watch wrestling for everything, but I really support the women. Just because sometimes, as we know, they're left off TV or they're left off PLEs. That's been getting a lot better in the last year or so. I think there are some major improvements that are going on. However, no matter what, you'll see me supporting all the wrestlers. So, you probably see me on Twitter or X or whatever you're calling it now, Instagram. And I do have 2 podcasts. I have one on Body Slam Net and I have one on True Hill Heat.
Awesome. And those podcasts are awesome. If you guys are not already following or listening, you guys definitely should. I totally agree. Women's wrestling is something that needs to be featured more. I know they do a great job of it right now in NXT. It's more so it's making its way up to the top on Raw and on SmackDown. And I know AEW is doing a better job of it as well. So it's definitely those athletes need to be showcased just as much as the men as well. So I totally agree.
Absolutely.
So with that being said, speaking of the women, also the men's Money in the Bank, very excited. We'll start at the bottom of the card, kind of matches I think will be at the bottom. We'll work our way up to the cherry on top, which is the ladder matches for the contract, the cash in down the road. So one of the first matches we'll talk about is Cody Rhodes with KO, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton taking on the Bloodline 2.0. This is a good match. I think it's one of those, obviously this card is very unpredictable. But in this right now, this time of year, I think with SummerSlam coming up and War Games and obviously the very imminent return of one Roman Reigns, I think this is one of those matches where the Bloodline, it's going to be a great match. Don't get me wrong. But the Bloodline definitely needs the W here. I think Cody, KO, and Randy can take an L here, still shine. Kevin Owens probably takes the pin if I had to guess. But I think Solo definitely needs to have a win here. It's been a while since he's been Cena. And if you're going to be taking on Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam, you definitely need to lead into that with a win. After what happened over on SmackDown with Paul Heyman, I mean, I can't see that momentum being hindered with them taking a loss over Money in the Bank. So I have it with the Bloodline 2.0 coming out with a win, Solo getting a 1-2-3, giving him the momentum going into SummerSlam for the title. Where do you see it going on with the match?
I find it, before I answer that, I find it interesting. You think it's going to be Solo versus Cody at SummerSlam, huh?
Yes, absolutely. Because to go on top of that, I think that's where we get the imminent return of Roman, and to make sure that he does get booked as that premier babyface, I think him and Cody share a handshake in the ring, and that's kind of Cody getting on board with the new bloodline. Well,
interesting.
The old bloodline getting together, looking forward to War Games.
This is why I love this type of thing, because getting inside other people's thought process, I'm like, wow, I wasn't going there. I do think, to your point, I do agree. I think the Bloodline needs the W here. It doesn't hurt Cody, Kevin, or Randy to lose. However, see, I had SummerSlam going completely different. I actually thought we were headed towards Randy versus Cody at SummerSlam. And I say that because I don't know if you saw that shot at the last PLE where Randy was kind of eyeing the belt.
Oh, where he gave him the
yeah,
at
and
the
he's
belt?
looking at
Yep, I
yeah,
saw
I was
that.
like,
Yep.
so he's still after it.
Yep.
So I don't know. So I just figured they'd use this match to kind of maybe get some tension between Cody and Randy. Whether that's Cody accidentally hits Randy or stops him from doing the RKO for whatever reason, like whatever it might be, there needs to be some friction there. But so I just figured that's kind of what this was kind of setting up. I do not think we're going to see Roman at Money in the Bank. Heyman going through the table, so Heyman won't be there. Is my guess. Either that or he'll be in a neck brace, in like a wheelchair or something.
That bump was rough. Like even after he obviously they take care of him, but like if you see when he went over that, I think they put him they shot him a little too far.
Yeah,
he slid on that desk and his head hit hard. That's why you saw the refs run right over. That was a scary moment. I was like, I hope he's okay.
I was like, this man's too old for this. But in the end, I do think Bloodline gets the win. But I do actually think we're going a different direction. I think we're getting Randy versus Cody at SummerSlam, to be honest with you.
Okay, I like that. That's definitely something I think they're gonna do. I don't know if it happens at SummerSlam. I think.
Do we see another member of the Bloodline? I almost thought maybe Jimmy would make his return.
But see, hold on to that. I got that down the road a little bit. Oh. That might be a little spoiler right there.
Okay.
One of the biggest things.
See how I set that up?
Okay, I see. Man, this is well prepping too. This is awesome.
put a pin in that. I was like, okay.
It's awesome too. You bring up Paul Heyman too, because one of the biggest things I feel like, obviously Heyman's gone now. Whether he comes back with Roman, whether he comes back with Punk at some point, I love how they teased that a couple weeks ago.
I love that too. He's like, I'll take me with you.
The emotion that Paul had, like embracing Punk, was just that was real, man. I love it.
Take me with you. I was like, oh no.
What's the other thing you need? Take me with you. I think also I like all the guys in the Bloodline. Jacob is probably one of the best guys on that mic. Solo's almost there. He's getting there. They need a mouthpiece. I think they do. This kind of
I heard Jacob Fatu was a mouthpiece though. Like, and I'll be honest, I don't watch I didn't see a lot of Jacob Fatu outside of WWE. I've heard of him. I've seen like parts of his matches. I haven't heard him speak. And everyone keeps saying he's a really good promo. So I'm like, he could be that mouthpiece, but I think he's going to overshadow Solo if they allow him to do that. And
that's exactly what I was going to say. I don't think he can take over that mic and take that spot, because then Solo's going to be like, bro, what are you doing? I'm the guy. I'm the chief now. But right. I think, and I heard about it, I saw it on Twitter a little bit, and it makes sense if it's something they want to do. Armando Estrada coming back, who used to work with Umaga, coming back working with the Bloodline. That would be an amazing mouthpiece for these guys. I think that would make sense, because they need somebody. Solo's good, don't get me wrong, but he's no Roman. He's
correct.
Not. Roman at the end of that run, from what he started with the Suffer and Succotash with John Cena in the ring, the whole nine, where Roman ended up on that mic was amazing. And I just think none of those guys right now in the 2.0 have that ability. So you need someone, and there's no one right now heel-wise that could kind of jump in and be that person. Estrada coming out, or some kind of more another acknowledgement ceremony, or bringing him out in some way, shape, or form on SmackDown would be awesome. Especially after getting a W at Money in the Bank that next Friday. Bringing him out as like the new person to represent them would be amazing too. And he's worked with a lot of the dudes in the Bloodline, so it makes a lot of sense. Even if Fatu was like, "Hey, I know a guy," and I called him, and he brings them out. So I think it's gonna be pretty cool. I think that would be a great way to go for them.
Absolutely, I want to see it.
Awesome. So with that being said, the couple of the title matches going on before we reach the ladder matches. One of them is going to be for the Intercontinental Championship. That's going to be Sami Zayn taking on Braun Breaker. And I'm sorry, unless there's an act of God, something going on at that paper at that PLE, I do not see any way, shape, or form Braun Breaker not walking out of that match with gold around his waist. The way he's been built up
really
months. There's no way, unless there's some kind of nefarious stuff going on, and like Bronson.
Well, there's nefarious stuff going on. Chad Gable's involved, right?
Oh no, Chad's got The Master's got his stuff going on with the ladder match.
That's true.
Unless he sends it down.
He's left
No,
Sammy
go ahead.
alone for the most part. So
Well, that's the thing too. Sammy, obviously being the underdog of the underground, he's obviously the one guy. If he's going to pull off an upset against somebody, it's going to be Sami Zayn. The man barely has any haters. Everyone loves to see him win and to just overcome the odds.
Oh yeah.
But you got to explain. I mean, obviously, what happened to Ricochet is what happened to Ricochet. But the way he's run through the roster thus far, and just making it a point to Adam Pearce of like, you overlooked me. That's fine. I don't need you. I'm going to create my own opportunity, which he did, challenging Sammy, or thus far, I should go the other way around. Sammy challenging him, saying, if you want to come get it.
Correct.
I just don't see, but it makes sense. Like, that's the one time with someone who kind of, I guess, did not earn it, but just kind of making that one challenge and stepping up. Braun makes sense the way he's been booked over the past 2 months. So I have it Braun Breaker. How do you see it?
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think Sammy retains here because it is Canada and they love him.
That is true. You are right. You are right.
I think he retains. I think Braun does eventually end up being the guy to take it off of him. I don't know if it's now. Right?
So I don't think Braun's ready for the heavyweight shot.
No.
But I will say this though. If Braun were to not win, and let's say go into the Rumble, I don't think he's going to win the next year's Rumble.
No.
But he's probably the one guy, and it doesn't happen with a lot of them, that don't really need the stepping stones of the belt and kind of learn how to hold the belt and learn how it works.
Correct.
With him having his lineage, with having his dad and his uncles, Scott and Rick, he knows how it works. Obviously, in NXT, they took their time with him, making sure he knew the business and was legitimate. It was a real threat to people, even on the main roster.
Right.
He's probably one guy who maybe doesn't need to hold the IC title. Maybe he can just walk in. Obviously after Mania, that card is all ways, shapes, and forms already set up. He has nothing to do with it. But after Mania, after the draft, maybe he is a guy who can just kind of be like, enter like some kind of gauntlet match or a fatal 4-way number one contenders and go for the world title, having that experience and knowing that he can run with that belt and be legitimately a threat and a legitimate contender as someone who can hold the belt and carry a show.
Now that you mention it, I think it would be a shock for him to win, and especially in Toronto. So I don't know, like, and I actually kind of want to see him with the belt and see how he does with it. Because you're right, they made him look invincible to a point, and he's kind of just doing what he wants. And just imagine him as a title holder arguing Adam Pearce, like he's just that much more of a pain. So I don't know. Now I kind of want to see it. All right.
Because I was thinking about it.
Now I want to go with Braun. I'm going with Braun now because
you
convinced me, John. You convinced me. I love it.
But also, too, don't forget, you also made my point. Kind of, they are in Toronto, and Sammy has had a lot of feel good moments in his hometowns.
Correct.
In about the past 4 or 5 big matches, he's due to take an L in the hometown and have Braun get uber heat, get booed out of the building, and not for nothing too.
So KO's gonna lose. And Sammy's gonna lose in Toronto.
Listen. I'm just saying. You never.
I'm waiting for it.
Good things come to those who wait. Don't worry.
Oh, absolutely.
Sammy might also be needed for the new Bloodline 2.0 storyline. Don't forget. Roman might need another.
Right? I'm like, because they're outnumbered.
Yeah.
I mean, even if Jimmy joins the other side, with Jay and Roman, they're still outnumbered.
So they either need Cody or you need Sammy.
Keep Cody.
I think the Cody
has enough going on.
That's what I'm saying. I think the Cody handshake is kind of one of those things where Cody's kind of like, "Thank you, all right, cool." Now you've learned how things work. You see how everyone is. They give the rub, the baby face thing, like, "Oh, Cody, Cody shook his hand." Oh my god.
I don't know if they're gonna, because I honestly don't want to see a completely baby face Roman. Like I want him to kind of come back.
That's what you're gonna get though.
Kind of conflicted, like. I know, like, because he's still like that evil, like pissed because he still has to be cocky enough to be like, no, I'm the tribal chief, but go up against Solo. And do you see what I'm saying?
But see, I think
as a babyface,
I think the nail in the coffin for the total face turn was Heyman getting power bombed because he can still come back pissed off and be like, hey, listen, no, I'm the chief. And this is how we do business. And this is how we don't. And again, I really hope they don't bring it, but obviously, RIP, like his father passing away, which was very unfortunate.
Yes.
But like he's obviously gonna come in. This is how we do family business. This is what my dad taught me. You know, and this run I feel like is
this
gonna be
true.
You know what I mean? And not to tie
Yeah.
that in because I don't like doing a lot of that. But I mean,
But
in a
they
good
will.
way.
They will
where he's
because
like,
the whole bloodline thing's about family. So it's
right.
gonna happen.
He's gonna say,
to your point.
This is this is what Dad taught me, and this is how we do business. How you're doing this is wild, and the fact you weren't listening to Heyman, the wise man, this is ridiculous, and this is where he needs to come back and I guess give the teachable moment, teach the lesson of this is how it's done. This is why I was successful. What have you done? And that's kind of where the jabs start and the kind of the hits and everything coming from that. He's going to be aligning himself with the Usos, who are one of the most decorated tag teams in the WWE, one of the longest reigning champions in the history. Looking over at Solo and these three newbies that just come into the company, he's going to be like, "Who are you?" Like literally, he's going to be like, "Who are you again?"
Someone even said Jacob Fatu might switch sides, and they said they think Jacob might switch sides when Roman gets there. And then they bring in Zilla. Is it Zilla?
Oh,
Zilla.
yeah.
For Solo's team. Right. And I was like, I forgot about Zilla. There's so many of them.
There's so many.
Like, this is never going to end, guys. Like Bloodline Decade is what this is going to be called.
It's like a real life NWO. Everyone's a member. Like
it's going to be called the Bloodline Era. That's what this is going to be called. Because
it really is.
It's never going to end.
I mean, Paul hit the nail on the head when he at the press conference 2 years ago when he said, "Listen, we're in the bottom of the third." Like they really are. They could map this out for probably 2 more years.
And the kids still got to grow up. Like
Oh man, when Roman's kids get old, man,
my kids are going to see Bloodline champions at this point. Like it's insane. It's insane.
When they did the video package for Roman's father, like it's literally they just kept showing all the
the grandkids,
so The Rock. All of them have like Umaga. All of them were champions. Nobody puts out more champions than the Ioana family. It's nuts.
Good for them.
But all that being said, so I got Braun. You're taking Braun too?
I think I'm going
to the dark side.
Yep, I'm going to the dark side.
Break. Awesome. Yes.
It's hard to root against Sami Zayn because it's Sami Zayn.
That's what I'm saying too, and everyone likes to root for like the ultimate underdog, and I mean he's great at what he does. If there's any one guy that can do it, it would be him. So it makes sense. But like I said, that's the greatest thing about this PLE. It's very unpredictable. You think it's predictable, and then you watch and you're like, no, they could actually go the other way.
That's the best thing about this time at WWE right now. Like I do feel like when Redacted Name was in charge, it was like the same formula, so you could kind of figure out who was going to be winning based on how the story was going. And I was like, I do feel they've thrown us a lot of curveballs where, like they stood tall, they're probably not winning. Those same things do not apply anymore in Triple H's era of WWE. And I kind of love that. We just don't know.
And that's so true. I was on a couple other shows this week, and that's exactly what we've been saying. Like this new era, I just use the initials, I don't use the name. The VKM era was definitely a lot different. It was very predictable, and toward the end, I feel very out of touch. One of my other guests before, they were saying, if you look back and you see some of the great young stars that are coming up right now were very much misused when they first came up from the old NXT Black and Gold brand when Paul Levesque had to take some time off for his health issues. And I feel like it was just a matter of, what do we do with these guys? Like they were so much. Chad Gable, I'll talk about him in a little bit, obviously in the ladder match, but he's probably one of the guys right now who obviously just signed a massive contract to stay with WWE.
Yeah.
Paul Levesque sees a lot of things in him. The fact that he was ushered out in a Shorty G gimmick, almost making fun of the fact that you're not a big guy and you're not going to do it's almost like these gimmicks and these characters were mocking them and almost a slap.
It was. Exactly what it was. Like I'm actually hoping, even like with the Viking Raiders, I don't know if there was a time they were called the War Raiders. I don't know if anyone remembers that.
Yeah.
But I'm a huge War Raiders fan. I love them still today. Ivar, I call myself an Ivar stan. Like I love Ivar. But like they're another one that I'm like, I felt like they took it too far, like the gimmick, and not them, but they were told to.
It was called the Viking.
It was called the Viking Experience. And I'm like, who? And I was like, you know what? Never mind. I know who.
Don't get me started. Like I could literally
all the
shows I've done. Karrion Kross coming out in this weird. You take away his ballet. You take away the entrance, and this man is literally like
everything that made him so cool and mysterious debuting in NXT.
Nope, strip all that away.
That's why I love I love the way. Sorry, I know we're going off subject here, but I
No,
love
please,
how
no. This
they
is what we're doing.
are introducing the NXT talents, you know, through main roster as they are still in NXT. So when they come to main roster, they're completely oblivious to who they are. But also they're keeping their names and they're keeping their gimmicks. And some of them do have some different theme songs, but for the most part, everything's staying the same. And it keeps it consistent so the audience can actually get behind people and invest in people. And like look at LA Knight, for God's sake. Maxim Models? Like
Dupe,
who saw him at NXT and was like, let's make him a male model, manager and call him Max Dupree?
He thought he was
who does
old.
that?
Yeah, too old. Wasn't like the stature. And again, the old regime had a mold. It was very very much, you could tell from who was champion. And again, that there was sometimes they broke the mold. Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, Rey Mysterio, guys
Kofi
like
Kingston.
that who were able to get the championship
Kofi
belt.
Kingston only happened because of the fans. So it's like Becky Lynch only happened because of the fans. There are certain people
Yep.
that
Becky took that fan one though, but Becky really made that her own though. She really kept that running, regardless if they booed her. She kept that running. I give her a lot of credit for that.
Like it's an anomaly to me. Like they're anomalies, right? Like they are exceptions in that time. But now it's like anybody can be champion at any time, which is why when you said Braun Baker, and I was like, oh, there's no way. And I'm like, actually, with this current leadership, it is very possible they could make Braun Breaker Intercontinental Championship. So anything's possible in this era, which I absolutely love. It's unpredictable. I have people where I'm like, oh, for sure this is going to happen. But
nothing. The one thing for sure,
every story can go about a million different ways, and we just don't know. So
no, it's one of those things. Like I don't know what wrestler said. I know someone. It must have been a manager or a wrestler. Somebody said it because I know I didn't think of this quote on my own. But it's the one thing that's for sure is nothing is for sure. Like that's correct. Right now. That is definitely the Paul Levesque, Nick Khan era, and I love it. I love it. This is when wrestling is the best. When you're watching, you go slam dunk, ice cold, stone cold pipe lock. This is it. What, that guy lost? And then you're like, how does that happen? And that's why you tune in the next week. Why does this make sense? Let's go. Like Triple H said a really cool thing on the new WrestleMania behind the curtain.
I started watching it. I haven't finished it yet. I think I'm probably I'm at the part where he just they had pivoted and he had just announced that he was picking Roman Reigns at the.
Oh, you're getting the good stuff's coming.
So
good stuff's coming.
I just got to that part and I paused it earlier and I'm like, okay, I have to finish working. Probably should.
So Paul Levesque says something, and I think this is, and I love the right in 2024. Like obviously we know kayfabe is very, very, very distant on life support, but people still do appreciate when they do it, and they do it well right now in WWE, right? Yeah. So, but I do appreciate the fact that even at scrums now we take down the fourth wall, and they're like, hey, this person won. How'd you come to that decision? Why'd you do that? What are we doing going forward? They don't tell you what's coming up, but they tell you why they made the decision.
Right.
So one of the biggest things is Paul goes, listen, the way I look at it is I put my destination into the GPS.
Oh yeah, I think he was I put our destination in, and then from there the GPS tells us which way to turn. It makes sense.
No, and the thing is that is how prior regimes did do it. But the fact is, you have to understand, and we'll talk a little bit more when we start talking about more of the matches. There's an adaptation that needs to happen in this business, and I feel like that's exactly what Paul did, and that's what this TKO merger. That's what they did. You need to start using social media, break down the wall. People aren't stupid anymore. They don't believe that this is actually happening. They know the results. Everything's predetermined. We know this, but people are still tuning in. You know how you watch the Avengers. You know what's going to happen to Thanos. You still watch the 3.5 hour movie.
Correct.
You're still going to watch the 3 hour Raw. You're going to watch what's going to happen at the end. And
that's what I love. So and he did say it in there. He's like, we love, I think The Rock said it, but he's like, we love walking that line of.
He does.
Okay, is it real? Is it not? And sometimes it is real in the sense of heat, hatred, tension. There is really personal tension there sometimes between certain wrestlers. and that comes out in their matches, in the story, whatever it might be. And other times they're just really good at acting. So it's just one of those things where, like, for instance, the build to WrestleMania, and again, we're getting way off subject here.
Go,
but
baby,
the build
we got all that.
to
I got all that.
WrestleMania.
Listen, let's go. The kids are tucked in bed. Let's go. I got all that.
Mine's still awake, but he's down there playing with his dad, playing video games or something. So we're fine.
Nice.
No, but the build to WrestleMania and that whole, we want Cody hashtag, all that stuff. And there were all these different reports coming out saying like, oh, no, Cody and Roman was always the plan, and oh, no, they changed it to Rock. Cody's actually pissed. Like, and us not really knowing what was true and what was not. And one thing WWE is really, really good at, especially their talent as well, not just the company, but the talent, is not really letting everyone know their personal thoughts on things right away, right? They may put a cryptic tweet out there every now and then where you're like, and people make assumptions online. What?
Mm-hmm.
But they're you're frustrated. Go to AEW, whatever it might be. So and so's all elite because they lost once. But anyway, but they're embracing that and they're saying, okay, let's use online. Let's you be upset, right? Make them think you're upset about this or whatever it might be. And then they'll all get behind you. So now instead of them looking at social media as this negative, toxic tool, they are now using it in storylines, if you really think about it. Look how many tweets and streamers they actually encompassed into that recap.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're now kind of part of it, if you really think about it. And they are watching and they are reading. I've been told as much, which is the most scariest thing in the world. When you walk into a room and the WWE PR head's like, oh yeah, I love your tweets. I'm like, excuse me?
What? Like what?
He's like, oh yeah, you're so funny. Like, I was like, oh,
one day.
Oh my God.
I'll get there.
I'm over here like, I'm like, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. He's like, you're here. I'm like, that's true. That
is true. You are there. So it must be good.
That's true. So
but to that, so also to that, I
pay attention is what I'm saying.
No, and I like that too. And the same thing too. Like even when they did the intro for the WrestleMania special, they have not a good friend of the podcast, Sam Roberts, who obviously is on, works for WWE, Not Sam Wrestling, Busted Open Radio, same thing. They show them talking about it on the podcast. They show the talking heads, the people like us that are talking about it. Correct. Even to go as far as, I don't know if you saw, like if you read enough into the Wyatt 6, they were using people's podcast names in the code.
Yes.
Yeah. It was wild. There's like 3 or 4 that I follow. Conman was in there. There's a couple other ones, and I was like, this is wild. They're really listening. And that's why they came for Sam Roberts, because he was sitting there like, when are they going to come out? They came for him on the after show on Raw. Like, it was nuts. Like, it was so cool to watch.
And it is important. I'm a marketing manager. It is important to involve your audience as much as you can, because it gets people talking. It gets engagement up. It gets you excited, right? If you see your name on a WWE program or your ad, it's like, holy crap. And who are you sharing that to? You're sharing it to all your friends. You're going to show it on your podcast. You're going to, like, they're not dumb, right? That's smart. And they should have been doing it for a long time. And they were like, oh no, it's just toxic. Oh no, it's just toxic. Yes, social media has its negatives, a lot of them, but there's also a lot of positives. And when you can embrace that and capture that and use it to help you market and brand your own stuff, it is very smart. Very smart. So I don't even know what we got on the subject. I think we were just trying to say this is a very unpredictable time. They are using social media and digital marketing in different ways, encompassing the WWE universe into storylines. And I think that We Want Cody hashtag really woke them up, and they're like, they can actually direct how things might go to an extent, right? It happened as well, I guess it was 5-6 years ago now, but the Give Women a Chance hashtag, when that happened, that was another one. And that was way back when they really weren't paying that much attention, but it got so much traction, they had to pay attention. So social media and podcasters and media outlets and digital content creators are a very important part now to the product. And I think it's wonderful how they are using it. But you also have people like us on here doing predictions going, we don't know what can happen. And that's what they want to hear. They want to hear us going, this can go about a million different ways and all make sense, right? That means they're doing a good job telling a story because we can't figure it out.
It's
and
almost
they
like
don't
the
want us to figure it
of
out.
what they're looking for.
Correct.
Yep. But to put a bow on all of that, I mean, Logan Paul, why is he a champion? Why is he wrestling? One, that guy has really made it his craft, and he's done an amazing job wrestling.
I can't stand his ass, but he's good.
Then he's again doing the job.
So good, man.
But again, impulsive, having people on there from WWE. Most recently, Pat McAfee. Obviously, a lot of stuff. Personally, RIP to his father-in-law. Unfortunately, the untimely passing. But having the show being shut down by the Wyatt Six, like it's just, this is where you hit the nail on the head. It's just if I'm watching ESPN at work, I work at a sports bar at a casino, so I have big TVs everywhere. But I look up and I happen to look up and everything went dark, and I'm like, is that wrestling at 2:30 on ESPN? What are we doing right now?
Same thing on Ariel Helwani. Ariel Helwani, the MMA. Ariel Helwani, the MMA.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
That happened too during Mania. I don't know if you remember, but Rhea and Becky got into it on his show. So if you're sitting there watching it and you're like, "Oh, like who are these chicks fighting?" and you have no clue, like who these people, like it makes you go, "Oh crap! Like what's happening right now on the show?"
I haven't tuned in WWE in a while. I should probably tune in. And that's exactly like you said. The marketing strategy has to be, let's use all these social media people that we have, use those outlets and start expanding into other people. And that's why The Rock said it best. Wrestling is cool again. People that I work with, it went from, you watch that fake stuff to, did you see what happened on Raw last night? Like, people are getting back.
People asking me about it. I'm like,
yep.
What? Like, you actually want to know? Like, they're like,
yeah. People know I do podcasts. People don't do
girl with like black lipstick. She looked really cool. I'm like, Rhea Ripley? And they're like, yeah, like she's really I'm like, do you really want to talk about this right now? Because I can sit here for hours. I'm like, that's the other open the door.
People know I do a podcast and I do wrestling stuff, and they're talking to me like, oh, what happened last night? What's going on? Because a lot of people, right? I mean, I feel like right now you're AEW or WWE. Obviously, I watch the product. I watch across the board. God bless my wife. Every night's wrestling in this place. I got the TNA Plus app now. TNA's on Thursday night. So
I do have the TNA Plus app as well.
Yeah, there you go. Nice. See, there you go. But so every night is wrestling. I gotta watch to know it. I gotta watch it. But I just feel like if you watch everything, it's a great time to be a wrestling fan. I think if you don't like strawberry, go get vanilla, go get some chocolate, mint chocolate chip, whatever you want. But there's really a flavor, a place for everyone to really fall into and sit if you want to watch stuff. You want to watch storylines, cinema, WWE. You want 5-star bangers and instant gratification of these two fighting, some AEW. Want to see this other stuff, TNA, GTW, all that, NWA, all of it. So it's great. Absolutely. So with all that being said,
wrestling's cool again and done.
I know it really is though. That's the tagline. Wrestling is cool again.
Wrestling's cool again. Absolutely.
Another championship fight they have. Another for the title is going to be for the World Heavyweight Championship. It's going to be Damian Priest taking on Seth freaking Rollins with a gentleman's bet on the side. If Seth Rollins wins, a la Cody Rhodes, can never challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship while Priest is champion. And on the other side of that, Damian Priest has a twofer to lose. He loses his belt and also loses his spot in the Judgment Day. When I first saw this match, looking at how everything was going, I really thought it was kind of a shoo-in for Damian Priest to win. Rollins can go do his own thing, eventually going for someone else. Then Monday happened. Then Liv Morgan decided to stick her nose in Judgment Day business. And now she's winning belts for these guys.
Yes.
It's not even Dom. She's winning belts for other people in the group. So at this point now, and I have my own little thing. We'll talk after we'll talk about who you think is going to win. I'll talk about where I think I see the whole Judgment Day thing going. But it's so hard. I have both circled on the paper in front of me. It's so tough. Like, I don't know.
Both.
I was like, Seth, Priest, but it makes sense. Wait. So I got to go with Seth Rollins. And I'm going to explain it quickly. I'll let you talk about who you think is going to win. I think at the end of the day, Priest needs to get out of there because you're going to find out whatever the time frame is, whatever the storyline takes, however we get to that ending. Finn is behind all of this. Oh yeah, Finn is the guy who's Dom's sitting here. I don't know how she got my coat, dude. I honestly don't know how she got my clothes. It's Finn. Who took the hotel card? Finn. Who's always in the clubhouse when no one else is around? Finn and Liv. Who just
Correct.
won tag team gold? Finn. So I saw that happen.
Who was exiting the
wow.
vehicle with the same vehicle Liv got out of? Finn.
Thank you. You know, people didn't see that. I shared it on Twitter, and I was like, did no one see that? They're doing the Easter eggs in the back. No one saw that.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I think Finn at the end of the day, the jealousy showed when he had the money in the bank. He kind of kept keeping Damian from cashing in all those times, kind of trying to help him, but didn't. He's told Finn, stay in the back, don't come help me. I feel like that's going to happen this upcoming Saturday. Something's going to happen, and an error in judgment. See what I did there? Is going to happen, and then
Sorry. I think
he cost Damian the title. More importantly, he cost him his spot. I think those two, especially with the little, what really sent it home for me with the nail in the coffin was the confrontation they had when he walked in and Finn was like, "You changed," and Damian's like, "I didn't change, you changed," and that's I think where he's like, I have something you've never had, and that's a World Heavyweight Championship. That put it for me where I think Damian's going to lose this. Those two feud. Seth gets the belt.
There's something else.
No. So go ahead.
There's something else.
Go ahead.
So, two things actually. There was that belt moment that you just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
But also in the ring when he was talking to Seth, he said at the gentleman's bet, remember he said, well, he's like, that's fine with me because the Judgment Day needs me more than I need them.
Yep, Vin brought that up to him too. Yep, he did.
And I was like, okay. So
Finn was kind of like, we're not your sidekicks, bro. Yeah,
correct.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think all this started, like the friction's kind of been there with Damian and Finn, but Finn was kind of like, whatever. I don't know if you remember. I think it was, I'm probably gonna get the pay-per-view wrong. I think it was when they were in Saudi. Do you remember when they interfered and Damian grabbed Finn's face?
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
That's one of the most disrespectful things
that
you can do to a man.
Went viral, like with him doing that.
Yep. And the fact that Finn never addressed it makes me think from that moment on, he was like, I'm taking. That's when
Finn was in the turnbuckle. He was in the corner, right? Up against the turnbuckle.
Yep. Because he told him don't interfere. They did. They tried to help him. Yep. He ended up winning, but he got pissed because they started beating up Kevin Owens. And he told him to stop. And Finn's like, what the hell? And then he just grabs him like this by his face. And I was like, that is one of the most disrespectful things anyone could do to anybody. And I'd rather you punch me than you grab my face like you're talking to me like I'm a piece of shit. Like, oh my God. Like, and the fact that you're right, it went viral. Everyone was talking about it. The WWE was tweeting it. Like, everyone talked about it.
But it was a tree that fell in the forest. No one addressed it.
Finn never addressed it, said a thing. There was apologies. Everyone's fine. I'm like, I'm like, he did not forget that moment.
That's when Mommy was there. And Rhea like smooth. Like, listen,
she did.
Yep. Without
her, this shit's falling apart. And Finn's now taking over going, okay, it's time. I think Finn just wants to be in power at this point. Like, he's like, get him out of here. So he's slowly doing it. And he's trying to almost pin it on Dom. And Dom's like, what the heck? Like, it's not me. Like, he wants Rhea to be mad at Dom, not him. And so it's just one of those things where it's like, he's him and Liv, I think, mastermind all this together. And I don't know if it comes to a head because I think Rhea will be coming back for SummerSlam, would be my guess. Some people think she's coming back at SummerSlam. I think she'll be back to face Liv at SummerSlam, but I'm not quite sure. So we'll see. But I think Liv will try and get involved to help Damian. I think he will yell at her to get out or get away, whatever it might be. And then I think you see Finn come out and kind of get pissed about it. Yep. Dominic seems to be wavering.
Yep.
Dominic's kind of wavering where he's like acts like he's not there for Liv, but then he ends up kind of helping her. Like, he's like,
and we talk about like I was never a Dom guy. Like this is awesome for him. I love what they're doing with him in this whole storyline.
It's hilarious.
Like, he really is growing on me. Where you're like, I hate him. I feel bad for him though. But does he really? No, he doesn't like it. No, he likes it.
He likes it. No, he doesn't like it. Is he
But
smiling?
then
No, he's
Cole,
not smiling.
even Michael
I don't
Cole,
know.
he was at ringside this past Monday. And Michael Cole's like, I saw him smile. Look at him smile. You see,
And
you see him
then,
look right
and
over.
then Dom turned around. Dom turned around. I'm not smiling.
Yep. So I love what they're doing with Mysterio. Like Dom was one of those guys. Like, oh, this guy can't wrestle. But I think what he's done with his character in the past 6 to 8 months has been amazing. I love it.
It has. So anyway, as far as winning, my first question was they brought Seth back. He came back like some bionic man in like 70 days from WrestleMania and having surgery, and he's back already. I'm like, this is insane. But I'm like, why would they have him go right after the world title? And I'm like, because there is still the pending story of Punk and Seth Rollins that still needs to happen. So I'm like, I feel like they will put the belt on Seth because they want that to be a title match. However, you still have the Punk Drew situation that will culminate at SummerSlam. So I'm like, what happens with Seth if he loses? What happens with Seth if he wins? And I don't know. I'm still confused why Seth is in a title picture right away after coming back, and I don't know.
That's kind of where the road led it for me over to Rollins, because I look at it and I see Damian takes the L out of the Judgment Day. It's a big fiasco on Monday night. Yeah, whatever. He's gonna face Finn, all that. What does Seth do?
Right.
Exactly. He just came back. Like, it's not gonna be Punk, because Punk and Drew. And Seth just can't get thrown into anything.
No.
So in a time where things aren't predictable and they don't just do, but I feel like the only road is for Seth to have the belt.
I feel like
you know what I mean?
And I'd be fine with it. Do not get me wrong. I'm not saying I'd be upset in any way.
Oh no, me too. I love him as a champion.
I would love him to hold the belt again.
I love him in general. A lot of people don't like the, I love it. I love his whole gimmick.
People love that though. Like I
talk to a lot of people that are like, I can't stand his voice. I'm like, dude, he's over, man. He's so over. Like, I love him. Like,
get over it. It's fine. No one likes your laugh either. Okay. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. Not yours, but like you should tell that to people and say, okay, well, no one likes yours either. Okay. I don't know. I really don't know here. To your point,
you gotta pick one. You gotta pick one.
Never bet against Rollins unless there's someone that they want Rollins to feud with and they interfere that we're just not expecting. I'm going with Rollins.
Awesome. Nice. Awesome. Man. And if it's Priest, I really hope it all makes sense the Monday after, because I feel like the juice is in the juice is worth the squeeze for him losing and seeing Priest kind of run that gauntlet through, Rhea coming back, the whole thing kind of just culminating. Kind of makes sense.
Correct. Someone said they could see a Survivor Series, it being Liv, Finn, and JD versus Rhea, Damian, and Dom.
Yeah, that makes sense, because Dom obviously is not, he's like, oh, screw this girl, and obviously with mommy, so
correct.
Whatever. That's going to be interesting to see. So both Rollins, awesome. So two of the biggest matches going on, the ladder matches for the contract down the road. Let's start with the women's. Io Sky, Chelsea Green, Valkyria. I love that entrance, man. I love it. If I could just listen to that, I love the way she introduced. When they got rid of it for like 2 weeks,
I cried.
I'm like, who made that call? Who made the call to have her stop doing it?
Some of the upper management didn't like it. I'm out. Okay, F the upper management.
And again,
nobody asked them.
Said, what are we doing? Let's bring it back.
We got the backlash. Now it's actually part of her song now. So it's actually on her track.
So she Samantha's actually, I think 3 different people's entrances.
I believe they did say she is. Like, it's her voice. I'm like, oh. Okay.
Yeah, it's weird. I like it though. Tiffany Stratton, Naomi, and Zoe Stark is the newest person to enter into the fray, rounding out the field. So I talked about this 2.5 months ago around Mania. I was on doing I think it was one of my shows, or I was talking with somebody, and they're like, someone brought Money in the Bank, and I was like, what do you think? Just this early on. I'm like, I said Tiffany Stratton.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a Tiffany Stratton fan since before NXT was cool, like the Daddy's Little Rich cool.
Us too.
Awesome. Thank you. Like she was green on the mic. Toodles. I love it. I love everything about her. She's great. She's always been good in the ring, but what she's done, I was able to go to Battleground and able to go to Deadline last year.
Mhm.
And both from seeing her at Battleground win the title and see her at Deadline in the eliminator match was
Mhm.
night and day. Just same person, but just so much more in depth in the moves that she was doing in the ring, not just the big spots and her
Yeah.
finish and stuff like that, but just the more meat on the bone, I guess, is really
Yep.
the best way to put it. And she just did an amazing job. All these women, all of them have a very legitimate shot. Naomi, she's back. She deserves a big shot right now. Like that would be her big time to grab it. Io could be a 2-time champion. Zoe, I think, is a great. I was on a show a couple days ago, is a workhorse. And he made a great point. Like I just did with you with Braun. You were like, oh, he gave like a 5-minute soliloquy of how she should be the briefcase holder. And I went, I might actually pick her now. Like that he had just a great
Really?
point. Great defense for it. Yeah, he really did. And again, NXT born and raised. Like I've watched her since she started down there, and he had a great argument. It was good. Valkyria, I think she's been booked beautifully on Raw.
Wonderful.
Since her call up. I think she definitely has a great future. The fact that Becky leaving was more put her in a place like, hey, let's use her while I'm gone. She's definitely ready. She going down NXT and feuding with her was awesome. Tiffany Stratton's my pick. I think she's got a little lost in the sauce since her debut with everything else going on, a lot of other call-ups, a lot of other storylines going on. Her having that briefcase, I think she's obviously very over as a heel. She can do a great job. Pairing her up with Nia Jax right now is amazing. I think she's going to be under that learning tree to learn just how to do it as a heel. But Chelsea Green is really, really a big dark horse for me for a couple reasons. One, again, so annoying. She's just going to get so, everyone's just going to be like, oh, she's coming out again, talking about the briefcase. And then she's going to go to cash in. The ref wasn't fast enough. Nick, I couldn't get down. It's just going to be a complaint after a complaint.
Oh, I love it.
And falling over, like not getting it done. She'll forget the briefcase. I don't know, whatever they do. I think she'll do it. It'll make sense. But the other great thing and the wild card with her winning is there's one other aspect that, again, going back to the social media thing we're talking about, who's the one person besides Chelsea Green who's going to talk about her win the most? Matt Cardona.
Correct.
He's going to start carrying her on he's going to start carrying on a briefcase everywhere he goes. He's going to start talking about it at different shows.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? So, and again, I can't wait for his imminent return. I know it's coming. He's talked about WWE a lot more in the past 3 months.
You think so?
I think so.
Because he mentioned how he's thriving, outside WWE, and he is. He's done wonderfully, to be honest.
But with that being said, though, I think he's also he doesn't follow us, we follow him. But there's a couple times we've talked about he retweets us, whatever, shouts back at us. Mm-hmm. If you look, he talks about Chelsea all the time now. He did before all the time. It started with the tag belts. He was bringing the tag belts along with him.
Yep.
Now in WWE, when they talk about the Ricochet stuff, he retweeted it. He's talking about WWE a lot more now in the past 3 months. I think that's a telltale sign. It's not done on purpose. Everything counts. I think. Yeah. I would like to think the Rumble, obviously very predictable. Everyone's gonna be calling for it. Right. But it's probably the one place for him to come back. But I think he's almost running a parallel to Cody Rhodes. He went out on his own, except for starting his own company. But he went out on his own, made a name, and said, "I don't need you guys. I did this all on my own." And he talks about it on Twitter all the time. Look at me. I'm still selling. I'm the indie god. I'm the deathmatch king.
Right.
And getting over it everywhere he goes, especially GCW. Yep. So I say all that. I think Tiffany Stratton, the dark horse, I think is Chelsea Green. How say you?
Oh boy. The women are my specialty. We've already talked about it, but what I love about this era is the storytelling and the layers, because it makes it unpredictable. There's a lot that can possibly happen. You also don't want to overbook every single match, because I feel like Money in the Bank is one of the ones you can easily overbook. And like every match you've talked about, there's like 10 different scenarios that could possibly happen. It's like you can't overbook all of them, right? Correct. So I'm like, so I look at all the women in the match, and I'm like, okay, Tiffany has the Nia thing going on, right? Does Nia come out and try and help Tiffany? Do we assume Nia comes out to help Tiffany? Because if Tiffany wins the briefcase and Nia wins her match at SummerSlam, what if she's afraid Tiffany's going to try and take it from her?
Yep.
Does Nia stop her? Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
no, I agree. No,
and,
that's awesome.
And is that her reasoning? And then Tiffany causes her to lose against Bayley at SummerSlam. Like, so there's a layer there. There's stuff that can happen, right? Consequences if she does try and stop Tiffany in Money in the Bank. Now, Tiffany, to your point, was also my pick months ago, and I was like, oh, she's winning Money in the Bank for sure. And then I started looking at some of the other women in the match, and I'm like, okay, Naomi, to your point, it'd be great for her to get that big win. A lot of people are rooting for her to win this one, because they really want to see a full out feud with her and Bayley. So who knows? I would love it if she won. I don't think she will win, personally. I think she is there. So like I said, there's no 4 horsewomen. There's no Natty. So what the 4 horsewomen and Natty brought to those matches, they were the anchors in those matches. They were the ones who made sure they were on pace, on time, hitting the spots, making sure people were in their place. If they weren't in their place, they would get in their place. And so now with them none of them being in it, I do feel the veterans in Naomi and probably Io will probably take over those roles. To me, Io is in that match, honestly, to do the big spots. I do not believe she will win again. It's not this year. And I only say that because Io does have other stuff coming up. She's going to be in Marigold, I think, in a couple weeks. Is her match?
I think it's like 2 more weeks. Yeah.
So she'll be over there. So I don't think that she'd be winning the Money in the Bank briefcase because she is about to go do some other things, which is amazing. And then I'm like, okay, Zoe Stark. I don't know what your friend's reasoning was for that. But Zoe Stark is one of the most amazing in-ring workers I have ever seen. Now her character work needs a lot of help. However, we've seen Zoe Stark a couple different times in the background talking to Sonya Deville. What that's about, where it's going, I don't think anyone knows. This week on Raw, she was talking to Sonya, and then Shayna grabbed her and took her away from her.
Yep.
So is Sonya going to try and get involved? Is she going to try and help Zoe out? Is she going to stop Zoe from winning? We don't know. Zoe's not winning it regardless. I would be shocked if Zoe Stark wins this match. Now, again, we're unpredictable times, and I get that. But I think she's staying in the tag team situation for now. So we'll see. Who else? Lyra. So Lyra is when I start questioning the Tiffany situation, because I'm like, to your point, the way they are pushing Braun, they kind of been pushing Lyra. It's
Agreed.
like just straight up. They're like, this is where she's at, right? This is where Braun's at. Saying that though, she has a lot of issues going on with Io and Damage Control and all those people, and I think that's going to be a factor here. So I do not believe that she will win because I think Damage Control is going to take her out basically. Someone said they actually think Damage Control might take Lyra out completely before the match, and that Trish Stratus would actually be a factor with Zoe Stark.
Ooh.
And enter the match.
Okay.
Trish Stratus is in Toronto. It has been confirmed.
I'm not mad about
it. And she will be there this weekend. So I would love it if they
Could you imagine that the pop? Oh, the pop.
It would be insane. If they're like, well, who's going to replace Lyra? What's going to happen? And Trish's music hits. She goes after Zoe Stark because that's where they left off. Yeah, that would be amazing. So we will see. And then to say all of this, I believe Chelsea Green is winning. For all the points you just made earlier, she is the one who will have people on social media talking. She will make the most of it. I don't know if you guys remember Carmella's reign as Money in the Bank, Miss Money in the Bank. Freaking hilarious. The best Money in the Bank winner ever. And it's because of her character work with the briefcase, how she cashed in, oh my God, and she's just yelling and she's screaming. Like, I could just see Chelsea almost taking it to next level because she does utilize social media so well. I didn't even think about the Matt Cardona part. I didn't even think about that. Just Chelsea on her own. And you guys imagine how annoying she'd be to Pierce. Like, be like, "Oh my god, and you brought me the wrong referee. That's not the one I wanted." I'm like, "Oh my
Yep,
god, like,
exactly.
I can't."
Yep.
Or you can see her in the back trying to bribe the ref, like, no matter what, like, just make sure you count to 3. Like, I guess she would be hilarious. And I don't know. I want her to. She has been delivering so much in the non-kayfabe way. She's been delivering so much as a character and working ever since she's returned to WWE. And I just feel like she deserves this. And I feel like the pop for her would be huge if she wins. And I kind of just want to see that for her. And forgive me if I'm wrong, but she's from Canada, correct?
I believe so, yeah.
I believe she is. So I'm like, I feel like the pop would be
Canadian.
insane. If the other Canadians are losing, I feel like I feel like she needs to win.
Somebody's gotta take a W in Canada, right? And somebody's gonna win.
I said the same thing for Glasgow. I was like, okay, all the Scots can't lose. All right.
That's
like,
exactly. I was like one of the very few people that say that Isla Dawn they were gonna win those belts. And they're like, nah, like, dude, everyone else, Drew's not winning. Somebody's gonna win the belts.
Like, one of the Scots have to win in Scotland. I was like, they're gonna be pissed if no Scots win. So yeah, same thing. Like, a Canadian has to win in Canada. But I think she'll take it. I think it's her time. I think she'll make. I almost love the Money in the Bank briefcase with a heel anyway. I just think it works better. But yeah, I think that'll be exciting. I think Chelsea's winning it.
All right, awesome. I like it. I'm not listen. If that happens, I'm not going to be mad about it. That's my second. If Tiffany's my 1, she's my 1A. So I'm not going to be mad about it either. I think comedically and just on programming wise, I think it's going to be awesome television to watch.
Yes.
And again, I agree on all the points you just hit on. I actually compared if she was to win that briefcase, it would be almost like a Carmella-esque run with her with doing that, and like again the whole antics and everything like that. I think would be awesome.
Could you just see her like running out with the briefcase while Liv is down, or like when Bailey's down, and then they like pop up, and she's like, "Oh my god!" She's like, "Oh no,
that's what I'm
I was just coming to make sure, like, just saying hi. Like, I'm gonna go." like it would be so funny. It would just be so funny.
I agree. I think it would be great. And again, the whole thing where she goes in the back and the referee doesn't know how to count to 3. Like, that's enough. Why did you send me an incompetent referee? I think
God, it was just so funny. So really, I just needed.
Not for nothing too. She's obviously over on. She could pop up on other shows. She pop up in NXT if she wants. Like
she could do the TNA. What if she popped up on TNA with it? And just was like,
don't even start. Don't even get me started.
Just looks at Jordan Grace and she's like,
Tina Morella's like, you're in the right company. This is not
right. Be like okay, and then like the GM comes out and they're like, you can only cash this in at WWE, Chelsea.
Yeah, wrong.
She's just looking at Jordan Grace like,
It's almost like pulling an R-Truth. Oh, that's my bad, guys. That's on me. I'm sorry.
Right,
company. I'm sorry.
That's on me. And like Jordan Grace like chases her out or something. She's just like, oh my god. Because obviously she has history there, right? So
her and obviously like if she was NXT, her and Ava or something like that. Oh my, it would just
be great.
I
need it to happen. That's what I'm saying.
I'm gonna tell you what, you gave me the Braun. I might just start going Chelsea Green. Actually, I think you've convinced me enough.
I just think you get so much more out of it with Chelsea at this point.
Yeah.
I think Tiffany will eventually win it. I mean, Tiffany is she's going to be a world title holder.
Absolutely, yeah.
Period. It's happening. But I just think right now at this time, Chelsea. There's no one in that match to me that shines more than Chelsea. And I just, and the potential of it and the story and the fun that she can have with it.
Imagine her as champion. Imagine her as a champion.
Oh my God. It's going to be insane. What if Matt Cardona, oh my God, what if Matt Cardona like appears as like the referee and
that's what I was about to say. Imagine at that point Cardona has to be involved at some point. Oh my
God. Like I just see him, it's kind of like how Punk switch the ref for like Drew. If they do that kind of same thing for Chelsea, but it ends up being her husband. Oh my God. Like,
what are you doing? Turn around, it's Cardona's face. Like, no.
They're like, oh my God, it's Matt. Like, it would just be insane. Now I need it all to happen. We just booked 6 months for you guys.
I was gonna say,
make it happen.
You probably have more. You gotta get us in front of somebody to talk to us about these storylines. This is nuts. So, with that being said, the cherry on top, the frosting, the whole 9, the men's ladder match for the Money in the Bank, Jey Uso, Mello, Andrade, Chad Gable, LA Knight, and Drew McIntyre, who just recently filled out the field. So back when I predicted Tiff Stratton, they were like, "Woo for the men's," and I said LA Knight. With last year not winning it, Triple H coming out, good things come to those who wait. I'm like, obviously, why would you not give him this briefcase? Obviously, pays his dues. And then I started looking at the match, and I saw the other guys that are in it. And let me explain. I think Chad Gable's going to win this match.
Ooh.
Let me tell you why. So when you look at the rest of this, you kind of touched on a little bit with the women. A lot of these girls have a lot going on, right? The men have a lot of detractors. So Jey Uso, bloodline could interfere. A lot of things could happen. Maybe the White Six with the Fireflies.
You don't think Jey Uso's going to win? This has to be.
No, no.
He's literally the poster.
No, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
How
many times does the favorite win the Money in the Bank match?
I should probably tell you he's not winning because he is the poster.
I was going to say, how many times does the favorite actually win?
Never.
Very little. Very rare. So then you have Mello. He has a lot of people he's enemies with since he's debuted on SmackDown. Obviously one of them being LA Knight. I just think he's younger, he has a lot of time, very bright future ahead of him. I'm a huge fan of his. I don't think it's his time. Andrade just due back to the company. I don't think it's really his time either. Doesn't really have a lot of friends or enemies. Chad Gable, we'll touch on him in a second. LA Knight. I knew LA Knight wasn't going to win when he pinned Logan Paul to get into the match.
Yeah,
I can tell you right now, Logan Paul's appearing on Saturday to cost him that match to get him out. Obviously, setting up their match at SummerSlam for the United States Championship. That's why I don't think. And again, one of those people, LA Knight doesn't need the briefcase. He's so over.
I think people just want him to win at this point. Anything, they're like, just
win. Can we get this guy to W that means something, please?
Yeah, they're like, just have him win one big one. Anything, like, it doesn't matter at this point. Like,
that's coming to
your point. I think you're very right. Yes.
And then Drew McIntyre, yes, makes a lot of sense for him to win. It really does. Until you talk about the CM Punk factor. Punk is gonna make his way, and the way that Punk has like screwed him over the past couple pay-per-view, he was commentating, knocked him down, cost him with the Money in the Bank cash in. Then he becomes a referee. Maybe he's the guy in the back with the remote control. Drew goes to get the belt, and he's controlling and maybe the thing goes up and down. He can't reach the briefcase.
Either that, or I almost want Drew to be so paranoid. Like, don't even have Punk show up. Like, maybe Punk's music just hits.
The music hits. Yep.
And you never see him or anything.
Yep.
But Drew is paranoid as shit the whole, right at the beginning of the match. Just have Punk's music hit, have him not come out, and then the rest of the match, Drew is just losing his mind, looking for him, just going around, not paying any attention. Under the ring. Like, he just starts wandering the arena. Like, I just want him to just take himself out, basically. Like, just kick his own ass. Like, it's just like,
I like that.
Freaking out. And that's what I want.
Punk's like, I didn't even touch you, bro. You did it to yourself.
and then Punk is shown on video in his house. Like, what is your problem? Are you okay?
Just cheers at him, like, hey.
Cheers from my house.
So I think out of all those guys, Chad Gable gets the win. One, I touched on a little bit earlier. We talked about character-wise development. I think Chad, obviously, he just signed a massive deal with WWE. I don't think it has anything to do with it. I think no matter what Gable has gotten creatively, he's taken and he's run with it. Whether it's American Alpha.
What about the White Six?
No, well, that's the thing too. So let's talk about the character development. We'll get to the White Six. There's so much in these matches now.
That's what I'm saying. There's so many layers to almost every single person in this match. I'm trying to think. Maybe besides Andrade, almost every single person in this match has some other factor that could possibly be a factor in them winning and or losing.
Yep, exactly. That's why I was taking a look at it. But he has more. Well, let me get to that. So first of all, obviously, all his characters, everything he's done creatively, he's knocked out of the park, including Shorty G, American Alpha, all the stuff he's done, even when he was with Bobby Roode too. Like all the stuff he's ever done. He takes it, runs with it, gives it 110%. I think this character right now, a lot of people are upset he didn't win the IC title against Gunther. I think
I was pissed. I was pissed. I'm upset? Okay. Was someone who was pissed, and then when they turned him heel, I'm like, "What are you doing?" Oh my!
It's beautiful.
He's one of the most beautiful, easiest baby face. I was pissed
to go from thank you to just get out and just slapping Otis across the face.
Easy to cheer for because again, another person who's been so underrated and just hasn't won any big ones, and you're like, "Come on!" And then he And then he's going against Sami Zayn of all people,
Yeah.
who's, to your point earlier, is hard to root against. But guess who was rooting against him? I was like, I want Chad to win it. And so when Sammy won and he went up against Gunther instead, I'm like, come on. Like, and I was so upset. And then they turned him heel. And I'm like, why would you do this? He's so easy to root for. And I cannot tell you, I am more glad. I told people this a couple weeks ago. I am so happy to say I was wrong. I'm so happy to say I was wrong because this is one of the best. This is his best work he's ever done. Like, he's almost tapped into this whole nother
I feel like
layer.
Yeah, I feel like he's hitting almost that Drew McIntyre echelon of Drew's doing his best work right now.
Yes.
Character-wise, like just over the top stuff where you're like, damn, they really did that. Like, damn, he really
like
awesome
this shit
stuff.
was in you this whole time. Like what?
Yeah, where were you, man?
Where were you?
You are the chosen one. Look at you, man.
Who knew?
Well, let me explain to you all the payoff you're looking for. We're talking about with Gable. I think what's going to happen. Maybe I'm being presumptuous. Maybe it happens at SummerSlam. I'm thinking it happens at Money in the Bank because obviously it's a no DQ match. Anyone can get involved. This is where you see the weird things happen. Other people come down and help you out or hurt you in some cases.
Yeah.
I don't think the Wyatt Six comes out yet with all of this. On a sidebar to that, remember when Bray had when he beat the Fiend, it was hurt and healed.
Yeah.
I think what's part of this is with the Uncle Howdy is, and obviously like you're talking about false prophets and abandoning your family, right?
Yeah.
So maybe they're trying to teach him a lesson. Maybe he doesn't listen to the lesson, which I mean Monday was kind of weird. I was waiting, but did you happen to see?
But he did run back to Otis.
I need your help, guys. But you saw his face though. He was trying to play reverse psychology on Otis.
He was.
He's like, you hate me. You hate me.
Looking for and he's all.
But did you see what we tweeted out? I know I tweeted it. I know other people saw it too. Did you see the head behind Otis? Like the Mercy head that was in the box? So go back. You can go on our page. You can find
in the restaurant
somewhere else. What?
In the restaurant?
Yeah. So I'm looking and I'm like, what the hell is that in the back? It looked like a face. It's the Mercy head. Then I forgot. I want to give him credit, so I'm not gonna. Someone else they put something up on the truck that he was walking in front of that earlier that night.
I did see that one.
So that was the first one. Then the mask in the background was the second one at the restaurant. So they're following him around. I don't know where that's gonna go. I'm very interested to see how that works out. I don't think the payoff is Money in the Bank. What I think happens is everyone else has deterrence. He's talking about needing a family.
Oh, I see it.
See what I mean? And I'm like, what is that? So what I think is going to happen, maybe I'm wrong. A lot of people are telling me, I've done a couple other shows, they're telling me too soon it's going to happen at SummerSlam.
Right.
Something's going to happen. I don't know, in pay-per-view before the match, or maybe Otis comes down and like Otis, he's like, do the work, do the job. And Otis is like, screw you, I'm out of here. Yeah. I think this is where we see the Creed brothers come down and assist Gable, get his ass up to the briefcase. This is where you see the new, Olympic team, if you will. The same thing Kurt did with the world's greatest tag team, with Shelton. It's just, I think this is where you're going to see it. And now he's going to I found my new family. But this is exactly what the YS6 preached about. You abandoned another family, and you're going to pay for it. So you can have that money in the bank. Maybe Chad goes on and doesn't successfully cash it in. And one of the cooler thing is, and I think taking a page out of Austin Theory's book, who's to say Chad goes for the World Heavyweight Championship? Maybe he's so obsessed with that Intercontinental title, he cashes it in on a Braun, whoever comes out of that match.
He would, because he's obsessed with it. Yeah.
And this is where, unfortunately, I really hate to see Money in the Bank unsuccessful cash-ins. I really do. I mean, I know you can't have a perfect record all the time.
People have to lose them.
Right. Maybe at this point, maybe wherever this happens down the road, wherever it is in the timeline, wherever, maybe before Rumble, obviously, maybe Wyatt 6 affect somehow affect him cashing that briefcase in. And that's the lesson, however they do it. And teaches the new family lesson. You shouldn't have left these guys behind. These guys can't help you because we won't allow it. I feel like somehow, obviously, from the new vignette between Howdy and with Bo, him being one, just like Bray was with the Fiend,
Yeah.
They're here to teach a lesson to a lot of people. I think Jay's going to be on that list. There's a lot of people. Well, Jay abandoned his family.
I think it'll be Jimmy.
You know what? He's going to go back.
You know, you're right though, because you really have to pay attention. They do keep bringing up Jay and the Fireflies, and he's like, "Oh no, I told
I'll take cockroaches, baby. I don't want the Fireflies.
I don't want them. I'll take some mosquitoes.
I'll take some cockroaches. I
was like, okay, now you're doing too much, Jay.
But I think,
but he does keep bringing it up, and they do typically actually. So like this last time they came out while he was in the ring, and he's like, and he booked it. He was like, "Oh, right." The last time they came, and he booked it. So it's like they are around him. Obviously, the Fireflies are a part of him. It keeps getting brought up that he has the Fireflies, and he's like, "I told Unc I don't want him.
There's a third wrestler. There's a third wrestler. I don't have it in front of me. I'll let you talk about who you think is going to win. I'm going to look at it, but there's a third. It's Jay. There's Chad, and there's somebody else. I tweeted it out that night. There's somebody else. I can't on top of my head who it is. Like something about family. I'm going to look at it while you're talking real quick. But there's a third wrestler too who I think down the line these guys are going to come for them and be like the lesson teachers. And I mean, I could talk about why it's 6 for another hour. That's a whole other episode where I think that's all going to go. But we'll stay on Money in the Bank.
I'm all thinking, what's with their family?
I'm going to look. Tell you what. So I got Chad Gable.
Well, technically,
LA
Knight. Technically, LA Knight did.
No, not LA Knight. Let me take a look. Who do you got?
So before you went into all that, thank you, John. I was going for Jay because I'm like, again, another one where I'm like, it's his time. Like he's super over. Mm-hmm. But then I started thinking about it and I'm like, who's he gonna cash in on? Like, would he cash in on set? Like, I don't know. Like storyline wise, there's no one right now that makes sense for him to try and cash in on without it being unsuccessful. And I don't think that helps Jay at all. Then I'm like, Andrade's definitely not winning. Carmelo's not winning. Like this one to me is a little more predictable. Mm-hmm. I could see them giving it to Drew and then Punk screwing him out of the cash-in somehow.
Oh, that would be, oh my God.
Do you like, because what did Punk say? While I am in WWE, you will never be champion.
Yep. If I have a breath in my lungs, you will never hold WWE gold.
So I'm just like, because Drew, almost for storyline purposes, makes sense for Drew to actually get this W,
but not get the W,
and not have, and Punk doesn't interfere, which kind of maybe that fucks with his head because he's like, did I just win? Did I win? And Punk's not here. Like,
where's Punk?
Like, and for him to be so paranoid about it.
Did you go old school too? Like he opens the briefcase, there's no contract in there. Like what? Who took the contract?
Or it's just a picture of Punk's face.
Yeah,
or some shit. Like, and Punk's like, Punk show holds it up next to AJ at home. Like, you have my bracelet and I have your contract. Like, whatever it might
be. Bringing the bracelet into it. I like it. Yes.
He keeps showing the bracelet. He keeps making the point. So I'm like,
everything counts, baby.
Unless AJ's coming back, I bet he's going to use it and be like, you have the bracelet, but I have your contract. Like, because Punk can truly fuck with him if he has that briefcase. Like, he could truly just be like, all right, man. He's like, well, whenever you cash in, I will be right there. Like, just think about that.
Yeah. No, you're not. That's not a word of a lie. That's awesome. I didn't even think of that.
So I'm like,
to touch on AJ, we can only hope that she comes back. That woman is amazing.
You guys will see me lose my shit if that woman ever shows back up.
Will you tell it? I'm gonna mark the hell out. You kidding me, dude?
Like you will see a grown woman cry if that woman comes back.
I hear that. Wow, wow, wow. I'm going live on my.
I'm gonna run down the street. Oh my God!
I don't do live streams, but I go live right away.
Dude, do nothing else. So anyway,
I like that. That's awesome. That's
so I'm going for Drew.
Okay.
To win this. Storyline wise, it makes the most sense. I do truly like your theory though of Chad Gable, and there is a reason why the Wyatt Six are after him. He has been talking to the Creed brothers. Are they going to be a factor in this match? Are they going to be a factor later? Like, I feel like he needs to win the title, and then lose it in some
Do you think
embarrassing way or something. I
if
don't know.
Master Gable wins do you think he goes world heavyweight route, or does he chase that IC title still?
I think he'll stay IC.
Okay, that's fair.
I think he'll stay IC title.
And I like that too. I like how they make the Money in the Bank not seem just like it's always the world heavyweight champion. Like if the women had a mid card belt, I wish they would go after that. Like I like how they make it like mid card and the regular. Like,
and it shouldn't be, because yes, the world titles are the most important. That's what people want. Right. But when you're supposed to make your mid card titles. We probably need to stop calling them mid card titles, but they should be
secondary titles.
Secondary titles, like they should be just as important and sought after as much as the world titles. And so they've made them. Triple H has done a great job of making them seem more prestigious than they have in the past, with the vignettes and the history, and obviously Gunther holding it for an unprecedented amount of time.
666 days.
Like that's crazy.
Wild.
And I keep thinking about stuff like that too, right? We have Gunther versus Seth or Damian at SummerSlam. That's the other thing that kind of made me decide about Seth for this was because I'll be honest, I'd rather see Gunther versus Seth than Gunther versus Damian. That's just me.
No, I agree. I think if it's Priest and Gunther, you're like, oh, okay, so Gunther's going to be champion. Okay,
Gunther's going to win.
Seth, you're like, okay, I see it. My thing too is I know what they did. I don't know. I don't think Gunther wins the gold either way at SummerSlam.
I don't think so either. He's going to win at Bash at Berlin.
Thank you. That's exactly like I know what they did and why they did it to get people obviously to tune in, and it's a good reward. Bash at Berlin is his jam. That's where he's getting that belt, man. Like that's been the payoff for a long time.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm pumped about it. It's gonna be good.
So I think Drew's winning this ladder match.
Awesome.
That is my final guess.
Okay.
I would not be obviously upset if Chad does win. I don't see any crazy left field picks in here as far as like Andrade won. Like what? I don't see any of that happening. I think Andrade does some amazing spots in some of these ladder matches. I don't know if you remember that one with him and Finn Balor from like 4 or 5 years ago or however long it was. That was insane. I was like, are you guys dead? Are you okay? Like it was crazy.
Somebody check their pulse.
And that's why Andrade is in this match, right? He does stuff like that. So,
and also on the flip side, who's to say Jay's climbing the ladder? Now, where'd Jay go? No, lights come back on. Jay's gone.
That's true. I really do appreciate and think that you were amazing at that Wyatt 6 sound. I don't know how you learned it or what talent school you went to, because I'm all
like that whole thing.
Mine sounds like a bee's dying. I'm all
but that also too, like and the other person I thought of that I tweeted out Monday night that I kind of thought of family deserting Dom Mysterio. Who's to say?
Snap.
They're not coming for Ray. He's Dom.
Oh, no.
Who's to say Dom? This whole separation, all of a sudden he runs into somebody in the back. But
that's true.
But I'm so aside from Money in the Bank, like it's Money in the Bank, and everyone I've been talking to doing these shows talking about Money in the Bank and all this. We always get on the Wyatt 6. Like what? Let me ask you a question. Obviously, you watch a lot of wrestling, just like I do.
Yes.
A lot of the people I've talked to. You obviously you saw what happened at the Firefly Funhouse. You saw Bray Wyatt, what he did with The Fiend. If you had to, in a perfect world, what do you want to see come from this? Obviously, this rebirth, obviously, of carrying on Bray Wyatt's legacy, doing this group. How would you want to see this booked, and where do you see them going probably in the next a year from now? Where would you see them? Where would you want to see them go? Where do you think they're going with this?
This is a great question. So let's start with Bray Wyatt. First of all, rest in peace. Bray Wyatt was one of the most amazing minds ever in the history of pro wrestling.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
What frustrated me about The Fiend was he was supernatural. He lost a lot, but his main goals weren't necessarily holding the title. It was to teach people lessons, right? So It was like, okay, but we want you to. And then when he held the title, it was very weird. They made that weird mask title thing. Like it was just, do you have one?
I do. Hold
Do you
on.
have it?
Now I gotta show you. Hold on.
Oh my gosh, you have one.
My daughter.
I would just have nightmares. Me too.
He
I would have nightmares. And my daughter was legit scared of Bray Wyatt. Oh my god! Oh my god, it's so freaky.
The coolest thing I gotta tell you about this, like I own, as you can tell, I have a lot of belts. They're all the real ones. Like it's not a flex. I just like people ask me, "Oh, those look like the Walmart plastic ones." These are all the real belts. I have the Daniel Bryan Earth one.
Do you have the
Which
Earth one? Nice.
weighs like 3 pounds. It's literally made of all natural stuff.
Is it? Oh my God, I love it.
So they only made, I think, 400 of these.
Right.
One other person I met at an event had one. When I met Bray 2 years ago in New York, someone else had one. I brought this. If you can see, I don't know. Bray signed the top of this.
Oh yeah, I see it. Yeah.
He signed this. Yep. So someone else had one, and there's literally defect. None of these they weren't made from a mold. So the gentleman, and I forget his name, so I'm really bad with names sometimes. The gentleman who does all the stuff for Bray now for Bo at WWE. They made 400 unique ones. It wasn't from a mold. It was the same concept, but everyone had certain different stuff. Each one of these is very unique. So
that's cool. I didn't know that.
Again, to meet him was just from talking to him for 10 minutes, getting a signature, just for that little time, you could feel like the energy. Like dude was a different kind of guy. He was awesome. This was after he got released. I met him.
Oh,
and
wow.
I don't want to go on a whole tangent and the whole thing because I've done that before on other shows. But he's so humble. It was almost like he was holding back tears. He was sweating. He was nervous. He didn't know if people, all the wrestlers say, I didn't know if I was going to come out that curtain, you were going to remember who I was.
Which is crazy to me. Like
he was sweating.
They all feel that way. Like they all legit have that thought process. Carmella thought for sure no one was going to show up for her signing at the WrestleMania World. She was like, hopefully you guys remember me. Don't forget it. I was like, what? I'm like,
what are you talking about? Like,
it's insane. Yeah.
So I think we were like the 6th or 7th person that signed this. And he actually, if you look again, you can see it. He wrote B twice. He was so nervous. He was like, dude, I was the first one to bring this belt to him. And he was like in awe. And he was like, no pressure, man. And he's like shaking, signing the belt. I'm like, and I'm like, Wyndham, like, calm down, man. It's all good, bro. Like, don't worry.
That man. Oh my God.
And then what you can see on the B, there's a second layer. I'm like, oh, what happened? Like, he wrote it B, and he's like, I don't want to screw it up. He wrote it again. And he it was amazing, dude. It was such an experience with him, and just
that's so cool.
That's why I asked the question to a lot of people. I wonder how other people see how this is going, because I know I want to see it happen.
So the reason why I'm bringing it up is because I do feel like they got lost with the Fiend. Especially, I don't know if you remember that whole Seth Rollins Fiend thing, the Hell in the Cell. Like that was.
I also feel like that was the prior regime. Not really.
It was. Yeah. My main thing is I just want them to have purpose, and I want the purpose to be clear. And I do feel like we're getting there. Obviously, we just debuted. It's starting to become clearer as these tapes go on. I love that they again are towing that line, because you have Bo talking about losing his brother and what that means to him. And that's kind of how and why he's become, Uncle Howdy, and like how, that he's taking that pain and putting it elsewhere. And it's almost like, I lost my family. Why are you leaving yours? Right. Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's like, so for me, I'm like, I just want them to have purpose, because I always think of The Undertaker. The Undertaker was the mysterious, phenom. But he still won matches and was champion, and he did have Paul Bearer as his mouth. But I do want to still see them performing, right? I still want to see them in the ring and winning stuff and doing stuff. So I'm like, what is this? So I guess for me right now, I'm just trying to figure out what it's supposed to be. Is it just storyline, them just showing up and going after people? Are they actually going to wrestle? How are they going to wrestle? Is it going to be kind of mysterious? Is it going to be these are real people, who got brought in by Uncle Howdy, and they still look and feel like real people? Eventually, not now, obviously we're still telling the story. But was Nikki Cross going to actually have wrestle gear and wrestle, or she keep the mask on all the time? Like, I'm trying to figure out what it's going to look like. So I honestly can't tell you where I think it should be in a year, because first I need to know what they're about and where we're kind of going with it. Is she going to be going after titles, or is she just going to be, or as a group, as a collective, are they just going to be going after the people that hurt them? Like, I'm just trying to figure out where we're going for now. And I'm just kind of enjoying it because I really have liked the last two VHSs and how they've been presented. Those shots of them with the light behind them and Chad kind of going to each entrance trying to like figure out where he's going.
Wild.
That was so the good. Coolest shots done in a live production. I think someone on Twitter, I think it was Julian, had tweeted, it's almost like
Julian
they brought,
Weeks.
Yes.
He's the one that put up. He's the first one that put up the Huskus face in the truck. So thank you. Shout out to Julian. That's what I was thinking.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. He had brought up that it almost feels like the production value that we got during COVID when there was no audience and they could kind of do more with the cameras and do all this stuff. They're kind of bringing that to the live crowds now, and you have like these shots, and it's still mysterious, and you're still like, what is going on? And this is in the live crowd, right? So
yeah.
I really like what they've done so far. I like how they've been presented. I'm just trying to get to the point where I'm like, okay, what are they about? What can I expect? Are they going after titles? Or do they even care about titles? Do they care? I don't know. So we will see. I'm excited for it. They're called the Wyatt Six. Is Alexa a part of them? Is my question.
So I think, I think the sixth person is Bray Wyatt. I think I thought so
too.
Yeah, that's why I think they're going with it. Alexa, from what I'm reading and what I've heard, is not even close to coming back. You're looking probably 2025. She's just not ready. So they asked her to be part of this, and she was like, "No, I'm not ready." I think Bray is the symbolic sixth person. If you look on every character, the red ring is on all of them, and that's to symbolize Bray. Also, too, Uncle Howdy on his right, if it's my left, has the same glove that says, instead of saying hurt and heal, it says Bray.
I saw that. That. And then
a lot of people are asking
about Braun Strowman too. They're like, why isn't Braun part of it? Is he going to be? Like, and it's like
the black sheep. Oh,
who knows? You never know, right?
No.
So
you did answer my question though. Like I talked about it the Monday. We usually put our show out on Monday afternoons before Raw. So when that day they were going to debut on the 17th, I talked about it. I said that I wanted to be humanized. I want to see kind of like how Bray did it. With Bray would come out to the Firefly Funhouse theme. He'd wrestle in his vest, take an L, get a win, whatever. But then the Feed would have his own thing when he couldn't get over, or he couldn't get the win. He needed more additional help. Someone was like taking advantage. That's when he would tap into that. I want Nikki to wrestle regularly. I don't want to see Rowan running out there in a rabbit suit. I don't want to see Gacy going out in a pig gas mask. I want to see these guys regularly. Yeah. And that's what I think with the VHSs are going to make sense of. I think I don't want to draw it out too much, because people are obviously, if you're diehard into it, you're going to want to see it. Like, you, myself, a lot of other people, they're invested. But at the end of the day, a lot of people do want not an instant gratification, but we've had to wait so long.
Like, where's this going? Codes. Okay, we've been doing
exactly right. QR codes and computers and videos. We've waited so long. Now we're going to watch VHS tapes every week. And now I thought they're going to be on both shows. It's very clear that they're a Raw talent. They're a Raw group. So I was thinking VHS is maybe showing not their sessions, but maybe them kind of talking about why they're here. But then if you do that, that's 5 more weeks. We're into August. What are we doing? So I'm like, But I think that all comes out in the wash at the end. But I think I talked about how they get booked, and that's a whole other episode. I won't do that.
I do trust it more with Triple H at the wheel.
Agreed. I think whatever they are doing, I think it's going to be great. It's going to be awesomely done in Bray's memory. And again, to keep hitting on that point every single time we talk about this, and we talk about them using the internet, it was so great to see him go, don't you feel like using your brother's death to capitalize. And
I know.
I looked at my TV.
Someone had literally tweeted that
Yep.
day, that morning.
And
I was like,
they're watching Twitter. They see what's going on.
like,
I loved
literally
it.
that morning, that whoever that person was like, well, don't you feel like they're just trying to
that guy got blown
up?
up. I think actually you retweeted it, and I think
I
did too. I think, and kind of calling it BS.
Yeah, because I was like, first of all, I'm like, his brother is leading the faction. I'm like, you don't think that this all got okayed before they move? Like,
it's people. Either you're again not to like feed into the tribalism, but it's if you don't either you don't watch WWE, you don't watch the product, or you're not knowledgeable. Bose Taylor said at the beginning of the documentary, they opened with him like this over the table, and you saw schematics and things. Those weren't Bray's, those were Taylor's to carry on the memory of his brother. And it's
like him and Bray did, because remember Uncle Howdy did start while Bray was still here. So you don't think him and Bray spent hours, days, whatever, going over like, this is my vision, this is what I want, this is what I want this to be. And you don't think he's going to take that and go, I want his vision to live on, right?
And Howdy was always the more sinister, like person that couldn't be held back. That's why when even the door got open, it wasn't the same when Bray walked through. That door was kicked open, and that's what led in the Wyatt Six. So every little detail counts. I think it's going to be amazing, like down the road. Yeah. I'm very excited for it. I, for one, don't mind the cinema and tuning in every week, but I
love it. Because it makes you go, okay, what's the next tape? Especially now we're all expecting VHS tapes. I'm like, what's the next one going to be? Like, I'm all in. I like so far how they've not debuted them, but how they presented them. So far, I am interested to see obviously why Nikki's there and why. Like we can guess, but why Nikki's there? You know why Joe Gacy is there. And they all did kind of have a family.
I was going to say that's exactly what it is. They all had a family and they all lost all of them. That was the thing. Dexter was the way.
The way.
Gacy was Schism.
Yep.
Rowan was
Rowan got thrown out of WWE completely.
Right.
And then Nikki was kind of cast aside. No one really wanted to be her friend, remember?
Yep.
Like no one was really befriending her.
And
that's what I want to see. That's where I want Alexa to come in, because Nikki and her do have history. Alexa did cast Nikki aside. And so I'm like, I want to see how that plays into whenever Alexa does eventually come back. If she decides to, she might not. How that plays in with Nikki, because Alexa's the one that kind of pushed her to the side. So I don't know.
It's just so wild, like the long-term storytelling. If you go back and look at these characters that are now in the Wyatt Six, Gacy having his meltdowns on NXT, Nikki literally walking around aimlessly with no particular thing, just backstage in segments. Right. Like obviously Rowan is Rowan. We know what happened there. And just like and Dexter
carrying around the gigantic spider.
Outcast, but then being outcast again, being screwed over by the Miz, thinking he had a family. Yeah. The Miz, like, you know, I'm here for it. I'm so excited. I love it. I think it's going to be great the next 6 to 8 months. So I'm pumped. I think this PLA is going to be amazing. Honestly, I think, like we talked about, a lot of it's unpredictable. Some maybe we think is predictable, but it probably isn't. We're probably way off base with all of this. So
right. I'm like, we're going to be completely wrong on everything.
I love it. I love being wrong. I love going, oh, I didn't even see that coming. And that's why I love doing
the most overbooked pay-per-view ever, which is perfectly fine. Because I love drama. Or we're completely wrong. It's going to be straightforward and simple. We're going to be like, oh, okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I guess we were kind of right. All right. Awesome.
Cool. All right.
But awesome. Hey, listen, I really appreciate you coming on. This is awesome. I know it's the first time you've done this. This is not going to be the last. This was awesome. I definitely want to do this again, whether we do recap, we do predictions again. You are amazing. I love it. For all those that have not seen you, obviously your first time host here on Chair Shot, where can some of our viewers find you on Twitter and on social media?
You can find me at Stephanie Hypes on Twitter/X, whatever you want to call it. You can find me on Instagram at Stephanie Hypes and TikTok at Stephanie Hypes. You can also find me on Body Slam Net's channel that doing Know Your Role, our SmackDown recap show every Friday. And True Hill Heat, Serving Face and Hills, our women's wrestling podcast show one Sunday a month. on True Hill Heat's channel. And you can find me doing media coverage. Today, I was on the NXT Heatwave call with Shawn Michaels. I gave him props on his chef profile picture, and he laughed and was like, "It's pretty awesome."
Did we find out why that gentleman wasn't wearing a shirt on the call?
I think he didn't know. Okay, so I'm not.
I saw that. I go, what?
I'm not gonna say his name because I'm not trying to embarrass anybody.
That's fine. That's fine.
But like, he was like, because like all the people, you can see everyone's camera like on or off if you have it off. And so I was sitting there, and I'm just kind of like, because they would just start introductions with Shawn Michaels, and he's like kind of talking, and I just happen to look over, and I see this guy like his shoulder is turned like this, and so I just saw his shoulder, and I was like, maybe it's a weird color looking shirt. And then he like turns, and I see his nipples, and I'm like, what is happening right now?
What are you doing?
I was like, why does this guy not have a shirt on? And he's just like, like he's just kind of looking around. And he's just naked up top, and I'm like, what? I'm like, does anyone else see this? I'm like freaking out. I'm like, does this guy know he doesn't have clothes on?
You don't want to say anything, but you're like, I can't be the only one. Like somebody else has to see this, right? Like,
I'm like, is this how we're coming to the WWE media calls now? I'm like, what is happening? And so all of a sudden you see him look up and go, and like he like hits the button and turns the camera off. And I'm like, I was like, I hope no one else saw that. Because I'm just like, that's embarrassing.
That's weird.
But anyway, so yeah, that happened.
Sorry.
But so you can catch me on media calls. I will be at SummerSlam this year. So
awesome.
I'll be doing some coverage and other things. I probably won't make the media day just because my kids have their open house on Thursday, so I can't fly out till Friday.
Good reason. Good reason to miss, though. Good reason.
I can't do the morning scrum on Friday. Those dang kids. But I will be doing coverage and stuff like that. So just look out for my socials there. But yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
Awesome. I appreciate it. And for everyone, obviously, watching, on your channel, people who are watching that are new to us, obviously, you can find Chairshot Sports all over social media, YouTube, X, Facebook, and Instagram at Chairshot Sports. And if you have some free time on Saturday evenings at 6 o'clock every Saturday, download the Live 365 radio app. You can find us on the Block 105 and also on SoCal Radio as well. It's an hour-long show, totally different what we do on YouTube. So that's awesome as well. But again, Stephanie, always thank you. A pleasure. And this is not going to be the last time we do this. So I thank you again. It was an honor. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Bye.
Awesome.